Tonight, while you are lying in bed, your body is listening. Not metaphorically, not as spiritual poetry, literally, biologically, spiritually. Every cell in your body is receiving information right now, and the source of that information is your own mouth. Most Christians go to bed doing something that is quietly reinforcing the very sickness they are praying to escape. They say things like, "Lord, please heal me." Then they say, "I just feel so terrible." Then they pull the covers up and wonder why they wake up the same way they fell asleep. They are praying one thing and confessing another, and the confession is winning. Not because God is ignoring them, not because healing is not available, but because they were never taught how the kingdom of God actually operates when it comes to their physical body. There is a 7-word sentence. It is not a magic phrase. It is not a formula or an incantation. It is a declaration rooted in the original Greek of the New Testament, confirmed by the life and ministry of Jesus Christ, and understood in ways the modern church has almost completely forgotten by a man named E.W Kenyon, who spent 50 years uncovering what the early church knew that we have lost. What you are about to hear is not vague encouragement to just believe more. It is a specific, biblically grounded, immediately applicable practice you can begin in the next 15 minutes, tonight, before you close your eyes. Stay with me. Here is the problem, and it is so common, it has become invisible. Most Christians who are dealing with chronic illness have built what they believe is a faithful prayer life around their condition. They pray in the morning. They ask for healing. They believe, sincerely, deeply believe, that God is able. They quote Isaiah 53:5. They stand on 1 Peter 2:24. They attend prayer services. They ask their pastors to lay hands on them. They do everything the church has told them to do, and they remain sick. Then a quiet, dark thought enters. Maybe it is not God's will to heal me. Maybe there is sin in my life. Maybe my faith is not strong enough. Maybe healing passed away with the apostles. And this is where the enemy wins. Not through one dramatic attack, through slow erosion, through the gap between what the word says and what the body is still experiencing. The knowledge is not missing from heaven. The knowledge is missing from earth. E.W Kenyon was one of the few teachers in modern church history who understood this gap and spent his life building a bridge across it. He wrote, "The confession of our lips that has grown out of faith in our hearts beats the devil every time." Read that again. Not prayer alone, not faith alone. The confession that grows out of faith. These are two distinct things, and most believers have only been taught one of them. The power to reverse chronic illness is not absent from your life. The practice that releases that power has been absent from your nights. And tonight, that changes. Stay with me through this entire teaching. What you hear will transform not just how you pray, but how your body responds to what you say before sleep. Turn to Romans 4:17. As it is written, "I have made you a father of many nations, in the presence of him whom he believed, God, who gives life to the dead, and calls those things which do not exist as though they did." Now notice 3 things in this verse. First, notice the phrase, "calls those things which do not exist as though they did." The subject doing the calling is God, not a prophet, not a priest as intermediary, God himself. And what God does, as his natural mode of operation, is speak into physical reality something that is not yet visible. Second, notice the context. This is not abstract theology. Paul is describing how Abraham received a physical miracle, a body that was as good as dead, Romans 4:19, that was restored to life and fertility. The miracle was physical. The mechanism was verbal declaration rooted in covenant. Third, and this is the thing most people miss entirely, the phrase in the original Greek, ta me onta hos onta, literally means the things not being as being. Present tense, active, continuous. It is not a past tense act of creation. It is a present tense posture of speaking. God continuously calls non-existing things into existence. And you are made in His image, redeemed into His family, and given His name. Most English-speaking Christians read this verse and hear a story about Abraham. But what Paul is actually doing is defining the operating system of faith itself and telling every believer that this same system is available to them right now. The original Greek reveals something the translation has flattened. The action of calling is not a one-time event. It is a lifestyle. This is not a small distinction. This changes everything about what happens in the 15 minutes before you fall asleep. Because those 15 minutes are among the most spiritually and biologically potent moments of your entire day. Word number 1, BY. You are lying in bed tonight, and the first word you speak is not a request. It is not a question. It is not even a prayer in the traditional sense. It is a single word that places you inside a covenant reality. The word is BY. Most Christians never think about prepositions in Scripture. They read past them. But in the language of the kingdom, prepositions define position, and position determines authority. Turn to 1 Peter 2:24. Who Himself bore our sins in His own body on the tree, that we, having died to sins, might live for righteousness, by whose stripes you were healed. The Greek word translated by here is haush, a relative pronoun, functioning as a means of agency. It is not saying healing is coming. It is not saying healing is possible. It is saying healing was accomplished through a specific mechanism already completed. The instrument of your healing is the wounded body of Jesus Christ, and the healing He purchased is not in the future. It is a present possession. E.W Kenyon understood this with a clarity almost no modern teacher has matched. He wrote, "Healing is not something God does for the believer. It is something God has already done in the believer through the redemptive work of Christ." Here is the practical application. Tonight, when your head hits the pillow, before anything else, before the worry returns, before the symptoms speak, before your mind reviews the doctor's report, you place your hand on the part of your body that is afflicted, and you say the first word aloud. By one word, you are declaring your position. You are placing yourself inside the covenant. You are not asking for entrance. You are announcing arrival. The confession of your lips that grows out of faith in your heart beats the enemy every time, and it begins with this single, massive, underestimated word. Stay with me, because the second word is where most people accidentally close the door. Word number 2, hiss. The second word is hiss. This may seem obvious. Of course we mean His stripes. But I want you to stay with me here, because this word does something most believers have never been taught. When you say His, you are making a possessive declaration about the source of your healing, and the source determines the nature of the thing. Here is the tension most sick Christians are living in. They are attempting to activate healing through their own faith, their own worthiness, their own consistency in prayer. Subconsciously, they believe the healing depends on them, on whether they prayed enough, believed hard enough, confessed consistently enough. And when the sickness does not lift, they conclude that they failed. But the word His removes you from the equation entirely. Turn to Hebrews 13:8. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. The Greek word for same is autos, the very self. Not similar, not consistent, the identical self. The Jesus who healed the leper in Matthew 8. The Jesus who raised Lazarus. The Jesus who said, "I will be clean," to a man who doubted his own worthiness. That is the identical Jesus whose stripes you are speaking about tonight. Kenyon writes, "What He was, He is. What He did, He does. And what He promised, He cannot unpromise. Because His word is His nature. The healing is His. The initiative is His. The finished work is His. Your role is not to generate enough spiritual energy to make the healing happen. Your role is to receive what is already finished. Tonight, lying in your bed, after you say bye, you say His. And as you say it, let the weight of that word land on you. Not your faith, not your record. His, the one whose character cannot change. The one who has never once failed to fulfill His covenant. His. The confession that grows from this understanding does not sound like begging. It sounds like receiving. Stay with me. The third word reframes time itself. Word number 3, stripes. The third word is stripes. I know you know this word. I know you have heard it 1,000 times. But I want you to hear it tonight, as if for the first time, because the church has domesticated this word in a way that has stolen its power. In Isaiah 53:5, the Hebrew word translated stripes is chabara, a single bruise, a welt, a wound from a whip. Isaiah is speaking in the prophetic past tense about something that had not yet happened. By the time Peter quotes it in 1 Peter 2:24, it has happened. The word shifts. The event is complete. But here is what most Christians miss about the physical reality of what this word represents. Roman scourging was not a symbolic act. It was one of the most medically devastating forms of physical punishment ever devised. The instrument, the flagrum, contained multiple leather tails, each embedded with pieces of bone and metal. Each stroke tore skin, muscle, and in severe cases reached the organs beneath. Why does this matter? Because the healing provided in those stripes is not a small, symbolic, metaphorical healing. It is a healing that corresponds in scope to the totality of physical human suffering. Whatever your body is experiencing tonight, whatever the diagnosis, whatever the duration, whatever the specialist has said, it falls within the scope of what was purchased in those caught. And E.W. Kenyon writes, the substitutionary work of Christ was not spiritual only. He bore in His body what your body is carrying, so your body would not have to carry it. Say this word tonight like you understand what it cost. Stripes. Not as a theological term, as a payment receipt, as the name of the instrument by which your healing was purchased, in full, in advance, without condition, without expiration. The power is not missing. The knowledge of what was purchased has been missing, and tonight you are reclaiming it. Word number 4, you. The fourth word is you. This is perhaps the most personal word in the 7, and the most underestimated. Turn to Matthew 8:2-3. A leper came and said, Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean. And Jesus said, I am willing. Be clean. Most people read this as a healing story. But look at what else it is. It is a story about address. The leper did not say, heal the sick. He did not pray a general prayer. He said you. He was speaking directly to the person of Jesus. Face to face, name to name. And Jesus answered in kind. I am willing. You be clean. This is a covenant exchange, and it is built on direct personal address. When you lie in your bed tonight and you say, by His stripes, you were healed. Who are you speaking to? You are speaking to yourself. And this is precisely the instruction the scriptures give. Mark 11:23 does not say, pray to God about your mountain. It says, whoever says to his mountain, be removed, and does not doubt in his heart, it will be done. You are the one doing the speaking. The mountain is the one being addressed. Kenyon was radical on this point. He wrote, most believers spend their lives talking to God about their problems. The Word teaches them to talk to their problems about their God. Tonight, you are not asking God to notice your sickness. You are speaking to your sickness, the reality that God has already established. You were healed. You, the body. You, the cells. You, the immune system. You, the nervous system. You are speaking directly to the physical vessel that houses your spirit, and you are declaring over it a legal, spiritual reality. This is not positive thinking. It is covenant language. It is kingdom protocol, and it changes everything about what your body receives as you drift toward sleep. Word number 5, we're. The 5th word is the word the enemy has fought hardest to erase from your vocabulary. It is the word that separates faith from hope, covenant from request, possessing from waiting. The word is were, past tense, completed action, done. Turn to 1 Peter 2:24, one final time, and look at this word with fresh eyes. By his stripes you were healed. Not will be, not could be, not might be, if your faith is sufficient. Were. The Greek is iathete, aorist, passive, indicative. Aorist tense, in Greek, does not describe a future hope. It describes a completed event, viewed as a single whole. It is done. Most Christians read this verse and translate it emotionally as, healing is theoretically possible for me if God decides to give it. But that is not what the text says. The text says the healing event is behind you, not in front of you. You are not waiting for healing to come. You are waiting for your awareness to catch up to what is already true. Kenyon understood this distinction better than perhaps anyone in the modern era. He wrote, "As long as you are praying for healing as if it has not yet been provided, you are living in the territory of hope. The moment you confess healing as if it has already been done, because it has, you step into the territory of faith. And faith is the substance of things, not the shadow. This is the word the enemy does not want to hear. Leave your lips at night. Were. Because were is past tense, and past tense means the transaction is closed. The bill has been paid. The decree has been issued. The stripes have already accomplished what they were sent to accomplish. You are not trying to get God to heal you. You are enforcing what God has already done. Say were tonight like someone who has just read the receipt of a payment made on their behalf 2,000 years ago and found their name on it. The knowledge of what were means will change your nights, and your nights will change your mornings. Stay with me. We are almost at the full sentence, but the final 2 words do something no one in the modern church taught you to expect. Word number 6, healed. The 6th word is healed. Not healing, not being healed, not in the process of receiving healing. Healed. Present possession of a completed state. Turn to Luke 17:14. Jesus sends 10 lepers to show themselves to the priests, the biblical declaration of healing. And as they went, they were cleansed. They were not cleansed before they went. The cleansing came in the act of obedience to the declaration. This is the pattern the kingdom uses. The declaration precedes the manifestation. Most Christians wait to feel healed before they will say they are healed. But that is sense knowledge governing spiritual reality, and it is precisely backwards. The body follows the spirit. The manifestation follows the declaration. The healing that was accomplished at Calvary is released into the physical realm through the 10 mechanism of faith's confession. Here is a question most believers have never honestly sat with. If you have been confessing sickness for years, naming it, describing it to every person you meet, identifying yourself by it, what information has your body been receiving? Kenyon writes, "The body is the most faithful servant you have. It will carry out the instructions you give it." The problem is that most sick Christians are giving their bodies declarations of sickness and then praying for a miracle of health. You are not lying when you say healed. You are speaking from the realm of the spirit into the realm of the body. You are speaking from what God declares to be true into what the physical senses are reporting. And the spiritual reality is more real, not less real, than the physical one. Tonight, when you say healed, let it be a full word, not a whisper of hope, not a tentative request dressed in declaration clothing. A settled, grounded, authoritative statement of spiritual fact. Healed, because you are. Putting the 7 words together. The declaration. You have now met 6 of the 7 words, individually. Let me give you the complete sentence, and then we will walk through the 7th word, the one that makes the whole declaration. not just a statement, but an act of personal appropriation. The sentence is this: by his stripes, I was healed. You will notice I changed you to I. This is intentional, and it is the seventh word. Word number 7, I. The seventh word is I. This is the most powerful and the most frightening word in the entire declaration for most Christians, because it makes it personal. It closes the escape route. It takes the verse out of the theological and places it squarely in the biographical. When you say, by his stripes you were healed, you can keep it at arm's length. You can apply it generally to all believers. You can nod at it theologically without ever truly landing in it. But the moment you say I, the moment you say, by his stripes I was healed, you are making a first-person claim. You are putting your name on the covenant. You are saying, this is mine, not yours, mine, and I receive it as mine. Turn to Galatians 2:20. Paul writes, I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And the life I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. Count the personal pronouns in one verse. I, me, me. Paul was not being arrogant. He was being precise. He knew that the covenant is not effective in the abstract. It is effective in the personal. God gave himself for me, not only for the church in general, for me. Kenyon was unashamed about this. He writes, the man who dares to say, by his stripes, I was healed, and means it, is not confessing pride. He is confessing the word. He is appropriating what belongs to him. He is the one who will see the manifestation. Tonight, before you fall asleep, the complete declaration is this: by his stripes, I was healed. 7 words. Say it slowly. Not rushed. Not once quickly and done. 3 times, minimum. Quietly. Deliberately. With your hand on the area of your body that needs the healing. Not because hand placement is a requirement, but because physical touch engages the whole person, spirit, soul, and body, in the act of receiving. Say it as someone who believes the receipt is real. Say it as someone who knows that the transaction at Calvary was not conditional on your emotional state in this moment. Say it as someone who has studied the Greek, heard the Kenyon, and now understands that they are not begging for something to come. They are enforcing something that has already been done. I want to spend a few minutes on the timing of this declaration, because it is not arbitrary, and the reasons are both scriptural and natural. The moments before sleep are called the hypnagogic state, the threshold between wakefulness and sleep. In this state, the critical, analytical, resistant part of the mind begins to quiet. The subconscious becomes extraordinarily receptive. What you feed your mind and spirit in these final minutes before sleep is disproportionately powerful compared to any other time of day. This is not mystical. This is how God designed human consciousness to function. Psalm 63:6, David writes, when I remember you on my bed, I meditate on you in the night watches. The night watches. The hours of sleep were not dead time to David. They were a continuation of spiritual communion. Psalm 4:4, meditate in your heart upon your bed, and be still. The Hebrew word for meditate here is rigaz, to speak, to mutter, to commune inwardly. David was making declarations in his bed, speaking the word over himself as he transitioned into sleep. And the body, during sleep, does its most intensive repair work. Growth hormone is released. The immune system activates. Cellular regeneration peaks. The biological environment during sleep is the most favorable environment in the 24-hour cycle for physical restoration. When you speak the declaration, by his stripes I was healed, before sleep, you are doing something with profound natural and spiritual alignment. You are planting the word in the most receptive soil of your mind. giving your spirit the last instruction before your body enters its repair cycle, enforcing the covenant during the hours when the physical body is most open to change. Most sick Christians spend the last 15 minutes before sleep reviewing their symptoms, worrying about tomorrow's appointments, or unconsciously rehearsing their illness. They are sowing into fertile ground, but they are sowing the wrong seed. The knowledge of what to sow is now in your hands. Kenyon writes, "Your confession rules you. What you confess in faith, you possess, and what you confess in fear, you attract." The tongue of the sick Christian is often the greatest enemy of their healing. This is not about willpower. It is not about emotional discipline. It is about understanding that the body obeys the spirit. The spirit is fed by the word, and the word comes alive through the mouth. Tonight you change what goes in last. I want to address something directly, because I know some of you are listening to this in real pain. Some of you have conditions that have been present for years. Some of you have tried declarations before and woke up the next morning unchanged, and it broke something in you. I am not going to tell you that pain is not real. I am not going to minimize what you are experiencing, but I want to introduce you to a distinction that E.W Kenyon called the difference between sense knowledge and revelation knowledge. Sense knowledge is what your body reports: pain, fatigue, test results, diagnoses. These are real. They are not imaginary. Revelation knowledge is what the word declares. By his stripes, I was healed. This is also real. More real, because it comes from a realm that does not change. The confusion most Christians live in is this: they treat sense knowledge as the ultimate court of appeal. If the body says sick, then sick it is. But the scriptures operate on a completely different hierarchy. The spirit governs the soul governs the body, and the spirit is fed by the word. Turn to Romans 8:11. But if the spirit of him who raised Jesus from the dead dwells in you, he who raised Christ from the dead will also give life to your mortal bodies through his spirit who dwells in you. The spirit who raised Christ from the dead, living in you, and through that spirit your mortal body, the Greek is thnetasomata, literally, death subject bodies, receives life. Present tense, active process. When your body argues, when the pain is loud, when the symptoms feel louder than the declaration, do not fight the argument. Just continue the declaration. Say it again. By his stripes, I was healed. Not in denial of symptoms. In faith that is above symptoms. There is a difference. Kenyon illustrates this beautifully. The man who holds his confession of healing, while his body screams otherwise, is not lying. He is declaring that he knows a court higher than his senses, and in that court, the verdict has already been issued in his favor. You are not pretending, you are governing, and governing requires persistence. Stay with me through the close, because I want to give you one more thing, the context in which to place the declaration so it does not become routine. Before I close, I want to make sure you understand what grounds the 7 words in something permanent. The 7-word declaration, by his stripes I was healed, is not a technique. It is a covenant statement. And a covenant statement only has power when the one making it understands the covenant But now, he has obtained a more excellent ministry, inasmuch as he is also mediator of a better covenant, which was established on better promises. Better promises. Better than what? Better than the old covenant, which itself already included physical healing as a covenant benefit. Deuteronomy 7:15. And the Lord will take away from you all sickness. That was the old covenant. A covenant based on the blood of bulls and goats and human obedience. The new covenant is better. It is based on the blood of the Son of God, and it is mediated by the Son of God, who ever lives to make intercession. Hebrews 7:25. Which means your covenant is actively being maintained at the right hand of the Father, right now, tonight, while you are in your bed. You are not making a declaration into empty air. You are speaking from within a covenant that is backed by the highest possible authority, maintained by the most capable possible mediator, and purchased at the highest possible price. E.W Kenyon spent his life making one argument, and it is this: the believer who does not know what the covenant says is like a man who is owed an inheritance but does not know his name is in the will. He lives poor in the presence of wealth that belongs to him. Tonight, you know what the covenant says about your body, and that knowledge is not theoretical. It is actionable. Starting in the next 15 minutes, here is where this teaching becomes real for you. Tonight, not next week, not after the pain subsides, not after you feel more spiritual. Tonight, when you are ready for sleep, tonight, do this. Lie down. Place one hand on the part of your body that carries the sickness or chronic pain. Take 3 slow breaths. Let your body begin to quiet. And then, in a calm, authoritative, unhurried voice, speak these 7 words aloud. By his stripes, I was healed. Say it once, slowly. Let each word land. Say it again. This time, notice the word was, past tense, already done. Say it a 3rd time. This time, hear the word I. Your name is on this covenant. Then rest. Do not force more. Do not evaluate whether you felt something. Simply rest in the declaration. You have made a legal covenant statement before heaven. It is recorded. It has been received. Continue this every night for the next 30 days without missing. Not because the declaration needs repetition to work, but because your mind and body need repetition to be trained into the truth of what was already accomplished. The confession of your lips that grows out of faith in your heart will beat the enemy every time. And what leaves your mouth last before sleep is the instruction your spirit carries through the night. The healing purchased at Calvary does not need your performance. It needs your voice. If this teaching opens something in you tonight, tell me in the comments, what is the one symptom or diagnosis you are speaking these 7 words over tonight? Name it out loud in that comment, because the truth that changes your life is always the one you do something with, and you are doing something with it tonight.